friends, and welcome back to 100 Blocks in 2025. Today I want to start with the Farmer's Wife, and we're going to be working on our block number 4, which is block number 84, the Spool, on page 211 in the Farmer's Wife book. Let's take a look at what we have. Gang, here's our spool block, and you can see I have some leftover squares that I had from the temperature quilt. Now my squares need to be 2.5 inches, and I actually have 3-inch squares. So it's really easy to cut them down. Let me show you. You just set your square here, and if you find a little ruler, you set your corner of your square on the 2.5-inch mark on both this side and this side. And just take your rotary cutter and trim a little here and a little here. And off it goes, and now they're 2.5 inches. So I've gone ahead and placed all the reds down here right through the center and trimmed those. And I also trimmed my little pink squares that I have here, which are gonna be where the brown is here. So we set those down. And then I went ahead and I sewed together 2 more squares, drew a line down through the center and sewed 1/4 inch on either side so I could make these little half square triangle guys. Now, if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know that I use the Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer before I open these up to trim them down by setting my ruler right down here on the 2.5-inch mark and trimming the triangle on both sides. Now I can trim down both sides of the triangle, and I can actually reach in here and trim the dog ears off at the same time. So when I open them up, they're gonna be a square. And the way you do it is you just set your seam line right down here on the line where the block says, and it's very helpful if your blocks are oversized when you do it. So 3-inch squares to make a 2.5 works perfect. And then when I open it up, I have a perfectly sized 2.5-inch square right ready to go over to the iron and to be pressed. Well, now that I've cut and trimmed all the pieces of the block, you can really see it starting to come together. I just have 9 pieces now, so I can go ahead and assemble this like a 9-patch or a tiny little quilt, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Well, guess what? We are done with our spool block. This is what it looked like in the book. This is what it looks like now. How cute is this? And if you're a beginner quilter, you can definitely try this. It's a pretty easy block to do. Just half square triangles. We got to learn sometime. If you follow just what I said to do, you'll make it every time. And I have some videos on YouTube that show you exactly how I do the entire method in long format and also the pinning technique to get these points just right. I hope you'll keep following along and sewing along with me, and definitely find me on the web at cabinquilters.com.